And we're live. Folks, hello. Welcome to the Talking Crit podcast with Bad Mike, who's sucking down his Diet Coke and Jameson whiskey.
Health juice.
Health juice, never mind. I knew it was something.
It's Jameson. Okay. It's the same thing. Health juice, Jameson.
Thom Wilson.
You guys.
Best known for Throwi games, and if you've gone to North Texas RPG Con, you've probably seen products that he's written for North Texas. Right now, doing something with Pacesetter games, and of course, myself, Eric Tenkar. You either like me or detest me. I'm not sure. If you're listening and watching, I'm hoping it's more toward the like. But if you are listening live, we have a live stream going on. You can comment. Can't guarantee that we will comment on your comment, but we'll get it up on the screen.
We'll try to. At least we can see him now. We couldn't see him.
Yeah. Oh no. The first time we did this, I couldn't see him, and the second time we did it, all of our Facebook users were Facebook user commented thing. Who the fuck is that? Anyway, if you're on Facebook, you're probably going to become Facebook user. But if you're watching on YouTube, hey. See, there we go. Hold on a second. Just so my Facebook user knows what it looks like. Facebook user, thank you.
Hey, Facebook user.
We do appreciate it. So I think as we were discussing before we dropped into the.
First of all, for the Thom. I want Thom to pimp his Kickstarter because Thom is doing a Kickstarter all the time. But this is really interesting because this is a Kickstarter that Thom has written, but is not by Throwi Games. So tell us a little bit about that, Thom. This is an interesting project on your. I saw your name on this and I thought, okay, Thom Wilson, Pacesetter Games, that's a good fit there. Why did you decide to do that rather than just do one of your own Kickstarters?
Well, Bill Barsh and I have been trying to get some work together for a while. We talked to him at North Texas every year, and I said, we got to do something together, and he agreed, but we never seemed to get the time to do it. But then along comes Ben, and he's hungry and he wants to do more work and he wants to start, doing bigger and bigger projects. And I said, hey, I got this idea. I want to write it. But I've already got so much in the hopper with Frog God that I don't want to give it to them. So let's do it. I'll do it for Pacesetter. I'll write something for you. And he was all in. And then I gave him the synopsis and he was like, let's do this right now. And I was like, okay. So he kicked it off, and I'm just doing the writing and he's doing the rest, although he's got some talented folks doing maps and artwork. It's beautiful. So it's going to be a full color book. It's going to be big. It's called The Lost Triptych. It's on Kickstarter now. I think it's got like 8-9 more days. I'm still writing it. I got to do some play testing of some parts of it soon. It's going to be big. He said the Kickstarter says 120 pages. I think it's going to be bigger.
Really?
I'm at about 60,000 words, and I think I got another 20 in it before I'm done. So it's going to be 85,000 words. It's going to be big.
Well, the thing about Thom, if you don't know, this dude's a machine because so a few years ago, we managed to finagle a B2.5 Caves of the Unknown, which we sold to help the North Texas RPG Con, and that was written by a friend of ours, Charlie Phipps. But Thom said, well, I've got a little part I want to throw in here. I go, yeah, I've got something I want to throw in. So I throw in my 3 pages, and Thom has this gigantic encounter he just throws in there that was great. So it ended up being a real big hit. I still sell copies of that all the time.
Awesome.
And that all benefits North Texas. So a couple years ago, without Charlie Phipp, Thom has another idea. He wants to do something for North Texas, and this is, as you can tell, Thom and I love BX gaming, so we're making sequels to all the classic BX modules. So this next one was X 1.5, based in the Sea of Dread, and it was called Dead Men Tell New Tales. And really, just Thom wrote the whole thing. I mean, Thom's like a machine. He just like boom. And it is a really, really good adventure. And I've read it through a few times. I'm just amazed at what a good adventure it is. It's both it's kind of a sandbox, but it has a plot line, and I contributed a little bit too. And I contributed pretty much one dungeon to the whole thing, but I had a great time doing it. But Thom always have something. He's just always writing. He's always writing. Doesn't take. I mean, I always find excuses not to write. Thom seems to be one of those guys that basically there's no excuses not to write. He's always writing. And then this year he also donated a couple of post-apocalyptic type adventures for North Texas. So he's just a great guy because, like I say, these are all donated items, and so we really appreciate his help for North Texas. But he is always writing. He's just got something on his plate all the time. He's always got a Kickstarter going. He's always writing for somebody else. I mean, he does work for Frog God Games. He's just in there. He does not have excuses for not to write, which I think is admirable.
Well, I have an interesting writing style that I would not wish on anybody else, which is I go where the inspiration is that day, and I'm usually working on 6 or 7 things at the same time. So, most people need to focus on one thing, and I respect that. My style is I wake up and today it's like I'm working on this. I'm all jazzed about it, and that way I can get a ton of words done because I'm excited about it, and it's not a grind at that point.
Right.
So sometimes it takes a while for stuff to get done, but I'm always doing something because I'm inspired by something else. And that's what happened with the Lost Triptych, because I had listened to this Canadian metal band that I really like now, and they had this really cool story album. And I was like, I want to do something that's sort of like that. So I started outlining it, and then it turned into 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 words. And now it's, like I said, it's closer to 60. And I think I've got, 20, 25,000 more words for it. In the last third of it, I would say. But then I wake up tomorrow and it's like, nope, I'm going to work on Space Scoundrels, or no, the next day I'm going to work on Desolantia, or I'm going to work on a new website I'm trying to build, or this video game I've been trying to finish. It's like I just keep going on this and that and the other thing.
See,
and whatever inspires me today is what I do.
I'm looking at if I can find my shoes to begin with in the morning, and then it just goes downhill from there. So I mean I just really admire that you're. I remember X.5 when because we're doing okay. Look, let's try to pull the curtain back here. You're doing free modules for conventions. They don't have to be that great because everybody's going to buy it to support the convention. I think the ones we wrote were really good. They're really, really good. B2.5 and X1.5 are really excellent. And a lot of that's because Thom just took the time and effort to make them, more than just, okay, yeah, this is for a convention. Let's make this 15, 12 pages long. And, we'll stick a cover on it. And everybody will pay $20 for it because, they want to support the con. No. These are full fleshed out adventures. And that's how most of Thom's stuff is. Thom's Digest stuff is really good too. I think I have all of Thom's Digest things, and they're really good.
Well, North Texas was the first con I returned to when I started doing conventions again. So it's always been, it holds a special place in my heart. And, if I can give something back to that con, I'll do that. I mean, I have my own convention now. It's really small, obviously, but I love North Texas. So.
I lost my virginity at North Texas. I will always have a place in my heart for that place.
Well, yeah, in your case, no, seriously. Talking about North Texas. North Texas was my return to conventions, and it's in a way that was, I guess, the actual honeymoon for Rach and I. That was years after we got married, because. When we got married, it was a mini moon with my 18-year-old son as our official chaperone / driver. God help us, but he felt as much a part of the marriage and the wedding, I guess.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cons, so we're on the subject. We have really big con news this week. Not the kind we like, but the kind we seem to be talking about all through 2020. So you want to roll this story out there, Eric?
I hate to say it. Is it a surprise? Probably not. Because I think many of us saw it coming. As much as I hate to say that, because I'm a huge fan of GaryCon. And GaryCon got hit last year at the beginning of COVID. I mean, they I hate to say it, was a hemming and a hawing because nobody knew what was going on with the world of COVID, and they canceled kind of late. And I guess, it was.
They were the first big con to really cancel. If you remember correctly, it was crazy because it was literally about 2 weeks before the con that this COVID started getting really bad, because we had Total Con in February, and we were rolling into to GaryCon, and then all the shutdowns began. And it was, I mean, literally, it was just right there. They were 2-3 weeks away, and then it became, there was a lot of cancellations, and it became, okay, wait a second, not who's going to go to GaryCon, but are we going to even have GaryCon? And that man, that is tough. I have a lot of respect for Luke and the gang. They're having to deal with that because Luke does not live in Wisconsin. I think this is all doing this is all going on long distance for him, having to deal with this because he's in California, and it was crazy. So yeah, this is the first major con that basically said, look, we're going to cancel, we're going to go virtual.
I remember there being a lot of like chaos last year for it too, right? Mm-hmm. People were just all over the place with it. So
no, it was a late cancellation. It was only a week or two before the con.
It was right there. It was right up there. Yeah, and then I have a lot of respect for them. They put together a virtual con in basically 2 weeks. Yeah, that's crazy. And so that began the fall of the dominoes, right? Because after that, everybody, as it went down the line, like, okay, it was every week. It was a new cancellation because, we can't have it.
And Gamehole canceled early.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, of course, the big ones, Origins, Gary Con, the big giant events is canceled. So okay, we're going on 2021. We think, okay, maybe something will happen end of 2020. We'll have a vaccine. Well, TotalCon canceled. They've already canceled because they're pretty early in the process, and they canceled ways back, which is pretty smart of them because it was going to be in February, which is the height of flu season. That wasn't a hard decision to make, but Luke had said Gary Con was going to happen, and
downsized. It wasn't going to be. They were talking 1,500. Now, if you've been to Gary Con the last couple of years, they must have been hitting 4,000.
No, Luke told me they were a little over 3,000 the last
really
to 2019. They were
all right. I guess the venue
it seems like more because it's pretty crowded in there. It gets really crowded. So they planned at 3,000. So they had said we're gonna knock it down to half, 1,500, which is a great idea. And and they had made some changes to the way the con was going to be set up. The dealer room was going to be not where it was last few years. It was going to be way in the back. I mean, they had a few changes they were going to make to try to. Because we've been on Gary Con, it gets all jammed up right in that main hall there, and down that whole hall. It's not the ideal place to run a con that size, and so there's little jam points where you get a lot of bodies, and they didn't want a lot of bodies, so they were trying to move the dealer hall back instead of being right in front of the registration. So they had made some plans. I mean, they were well aware that we're probably going to still be wearing masks. There's still going to be protocols in place. But for whatever reason, I guess things were not really advancing as fast as we thought they might, and they have decided to cancel, but as they call it, material Gary Con, and continue with ethereal Gary Con.
I guess the prime material plane is canceled, but the astral plane is still going. Listen, does it suck? Yes, and we were mentioning this before we came on. Somebody in my Facebook feed yesterday had a Gary Con, or basically physical con meltdown about all the cons being canceled. And I used to think the following phrase was unique to my job, but I've heard it elsewhere. It is what it is. I mean, there are certain things that you have no control over. It is what it is. You can rant and yell. It's not going to change anything. Pick up your pants, get off the toilet, and move on.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is that everybody has a different con experience or con desire, right? For me, I go to cons to meet old friends, see them again, to talk to some other creative types, to work out some deals and try to work out some partnerships and have some fun writing some stuff together. And I play a little bit. What hurts more during this virus is not missing the cons so much as my weekly games are all canceled, right? I played 4 times a week, 3 times a week, and I'm not playing any of that now. So to me, if I miss a con, it sucks because I want to meet my old friends, support those cons by, I take all my money and I spend it all there.
Right.
But, it's not about gaming for me. It's about just hanging out at the bar with guys and talking shop or talking, just family stuff. And then I play at home. a lot.
I'm with you, Tom. That's exactly. I rarely game at cons. I really mostly go to schmooze and talk to people. So
Yeah.
this hurts me a lot in terms of, gaming online doesn't hold a lot of allure for me. I know a lot of people really enjoy it, and I'm glad. I'm glad they enjoy it, and I'm glad it's able to be done. But I don't. I can take it or leave it. I've run some games online. I'm not. I mean, I would rather not. I'd rather run games in person. I still have a face-to-face group that meets once a month now, and it's mostly family members. We mask up and we actually social distance in the warehouse, so it works out pretty good. The guys I play with get tested regularly, so that also works out good. One works in a hospital, and then my brother works at the airport. They have to test him every day, and so we're pretty safe. Just like I said, there's only 3 or 4 of us, so we're.
Sure.
But yeah, going to cons, I love. That's what I like. I like seeing everybody, and we're not getting any younger, and I think that's very frustrating with a lot of people. Is that there's a finite amount of cons ahead of us. I mean, we've reached that point, all of us, that we're not 30 years old anymore. I mean, there's a finite amount. I'm in my 50s. Yep. There's a finite amount of cons ahead of me. At a certain point, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm 60, whatever. I don't feel like schlepping to GaryCon or Gamehole. I won't feel like it. And so I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes by. Is people that are most vulnerable to the virus, the over 50 crowd, are also the ones that don't have a lot of time to go to cons anymore. And so they're seeing, they lost all their cons in 2020. They're staring down the barrel of losing all their cons in 2021. And we don't know if they might lose all their cons in 2022. I mean, we have no idea what the future may hold there.
Sure. Well, you just got to go day to day and then hope for the best, try to get through this time. And, the cons will be back. We'll be going to cons before we know it. It's going to be a bit of a stretch here, but I'm going to see you guys soon. I know that.
Well, I think they're going to. I mean, they'll change a lot. We look at things we take for granted, especially like the dealer room. I don't know how a dealer room is even going to work post-COVID. Do you want people touching all your books? Is everybody going to be masked? I mean,
spray them down, right?
I guess so. So a can of Lysol at the booth and just spray down the customer and the books and everything.
You touch it, you buy it.
Doug was years ahead of his time.
But you've got. I mean, and so I mean, Thom runs ShireCon, and of course I'm owner of North Texas. So yeah, this directly impacts us. But we're both luckier that I'm looking at North Texas. That's June, and when's ShireCon usually? Is that July? September. So you've got almost a whole year ahead of you. You got a lot of stuff to develop. You got a lot of stuff that can develop here. I've talked to Doug. We're definitely going to have North Texas again, because his quote was, "If we had it this year, we'll have it next year." We're definitely looking at reduced numbers again. We're probably going to tell older people not to come. We had to tell a lot of our guests, please don't come. We love you so much, and they wanted to come. We're like, Steve Perrin, don't come. I know you want to come, don't come. We're telling these guys, Darlene, please don't come. So we may do that again this year, but I don't know. Maybe if we have a vaccine that comes early next year, we've got a lot more lead time, Thom and I, so it's not as tough for us. It's really tough for GaryCon because they were the first big con to cancel, and then here we roll around a year again, they're going to have to cancel again. They're just exactly the wrong time of year.
But at least their timing of cancellation is better this year. I mean, last year, and here's like the thing that a lot of con goers or a lot of podcast listeners don't really realize is that when you're running a convention and you have a venue, you're signing a contract. Mm-hmm. And your contract includes things like expected number of guests, the revenue you're going to bring to the hotel or the venue. So for GaryCon to cancel, they just can't say, hey, we're canceling, because I'm sure the Grand Geneva was like, you've got a contract. You can't just cancel. So they had to, otherwise you're violating the contract, and I'm sure there's monies involved. So they had to wait until the situation legally changed in the state of Wisconsin to, I guess, allow such a contract to be canceled because of the state of emergency, COVID, which Wisconsin was slow to put something into effect last year.
Well, slow as they were, Texas was even slower. We had a lot of issues. I don't know. I mean, Eric probably remembers this. A lot of this was not public knowledge, but we had some big issues with our contract because the hotel would not let us out of the contract. Because the time Texas it was a mess in Texas, really, because we had some people saying, okay, you can. Dallas County we're going to shut down. Tarrant County was wide open. Our convention was in Dallas County. I mean, every county in Texas had a different way of approaching it. By the wording of the contract, we could have canceled because it was an emergency situation. It finally ended up we basically cut a deal with them, because you're right, Eric. One of the dirty little secrets of the con business is you get discounts for all the room nights, what they call room nights. And so the more rooms you fill up in the hotel, the bigger a discount you get. And that makes cons affordable. People run cons. I mean, you can't afford to buy all the rooms. To buy all the rooms at the Marriott, where we have the convention, I mean, not the Marriott. Oh dear, that was years ago. Yeah. To buy the convention at our new venue, because I can't remember which one it is right now.
Weston,
but the event Weston. It was thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, it was very, let's say $12,000. But once you get the room nights, when you hit the room night goals, it goes down to like $2,000, which is affordable. Well, we were not going to hit any of our room night goals because people were canceled. Everybody canceled right and left. So we finally had to go to them and had a deal, which was basically the deal was, we're just not going to have the convention. If we have to go to court, we're going to have to go to court. We're going to say because of emergency conditions, we had to cancel. We talked to some legal people in the hobby, and they said we had a great case. They said state of Texas wouldn't make us have. I mean, all we had to do was call up the health department and said they're making us have a big con, and they would have come there and shut it down.
No,
yeah. So we cut a deal with them. Where basically we pretty much got the whole entire hotel because there wasn't anybody else having a con there, and they cut us a huge break basically. On the room nights, because we weren't going to fill up the room. Sure. And the hotel, we had about 80. I want to say I keep forgetting, it's like 65 to 80 people come.
Yeah, like ShireCon numbers.
Exactly. But the great thing is we had the whole gigantic hotel, so the spacing was ridiculous. I mean, we had like a ballroom with like 2 tables in it. So everybody wore, everybody was masked up. We didn't have any cases that came around because of the con, because it was really well taken care of. They had a lot of sanitary stations. We did find out later, though, which is interesting, is that they had laid off their entire convention staff. So the person we were dealing with was also the manager, and he doesn't usually deal with conventions. That's probably why we had such a hard time with him. He just didn't know he didn't know us. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know anything about us. And that's what we find out is a problem in most hotels is they've laid off that. We've later found out that Western laid off almost 70% of their staff.
Wow.
Because of the just because so many people weren't traveling. And so that's tough for a lot of these hotels because they're laying off convention staff because what are they not having? Conventions. Right. And so it was tough. We had a lot of issues to work through just to even have the convention. Hopefully it won't be as bad this year. I mean, and then of course also the bar was closed and the restaurant was closed, the hotel, which was fun. We did a food truck. So even if you're going to have a con and a smaller con, there's a lot to work through. I'm sure ShireCon will have the same issues even around September, even if we're kind of quote unquote back to normal. I mean, Doug and I were looking at even if we're absolutely back to normal, let's say by June, we're still only expecting half of what our usual amount is. So maybe at the most 200 people. I mean, that would be, half of what we usually bring in, about 500 people. And because a lot of people are just not going to go to cons for a while, even if there is a vaccine, and even if people aren't getting sick as much, people just are not, especially high risk people, are not going to be attending cons, and which we perfectly understand. We refunded everybody's money that wanted to be refunded because we said we're not going to make you come to a con that you might get sick at, because we skew older at our con. I think ShireCon's probably the same. I don't know what your age numbers were, Tom, on that one, but
they were pretty older. We had a really good mix. I mean, Eric's been to both, so he knows. But they're a really good mix. And when I asked everybody, when I told them that we were going to cancel, and I asked everybody, I can either refund you or you can save it for next year. 100% of people said put me in for next year. So it's a great, we got a great community here, and they all love the con. The same thing if we get to September this year and it's still pandemonium, right, then we'll be thinking about doing the same thing again, and we'll see how many people want to hang on to the. Sure. I'm only charging $25-$30 for a day, so it's not like I'm as expensive as other bigger cons, but so people can kind of write that $20-$30 off. But I got it held in my account. It's ready to go for next year. But if we get to September and it's a no-go again, I hate to see that, but if it is, then we'll deal with it.
It's ShardCon's an interesting con because since it's only a day, you get more families. You have multi-generational, people like, I'm going to come with my wife and my son. Whereas if you're going to go for 4 days, a lot of times it's like you can't afford to have everybody go, or everybody's schedule doesn't match up.
Right.
But yeah. So you do cover a lot of base. I always have like Mike Gross and his son at my table.
Yep.
I think I had 2 last year that were under 18.
Yeah, we get a bunch of kids in, and I joined the rec commission in my town. So my daughter's the director. So we're working together to try to expand the con this year to get more families, more kids. We're going to expand into more games. There's a building next door that we want to push into a little bit. So we're trying to make it bigger if we can. That's the question. Right. But we do have plans to make it bigger, and I think we do get more than just the heavy grognards at the other cons. We get a lot of families and young kids. And the funny is we almost have no 5e there, which is hysterical because we have all this youth coming in. They're all familiar with 5e, but they're joining OSR games. I mean, Eric runs the Swords of the Light, which people like. I'm usually running BX. Last year I did just a meat grinder at the end of the night that just killed everybody. I'm planning on doing a tavern brawl this time or next time. Just basically like a DCC funnel where you're you pick up a character sheet and you try to survive as long as you can. When you killed, you pick up another one. You spawn in another part of the tavern and you just gang up on people and wipe people out just for fun. And we're gonna use BX rules for it to make it easy. So
BX, yes.
Yeah, we got DCC players,
con game.
Swordsman and Sorceress of Iberia with Jeff Talanian.
Yep.
It's a nice selection of games, and you're hitting that New York metro area, which allows a lot of people who don't necessarily go to conventions because you're in New York. We don't have conventions. We're too big to fucking have conventions.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's congested.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 20 minutes, 25 minutes right off the metro. Harlem Valley line, so you could get an Uber from there to the con for the day. We got a couple small bed and breakfasts in a hotel nearby that you could push into for staying overnight. And we get people from Boston, like Matt Roberts comes in from Boston. We get and his crew come in. We get people from Jersey, like Mike Gross, Joe Block. You guys obviously from New York City. A lot of New York City folks like Andy Markham and Gabe and Jonathan and Eric and Joe the lawyer came I think last year. And so there's people coming up from. We're kind of in that area where we can get
Joe
people from Western New York, Boston. What's that?
Joe's Connecticut.
Oh, is he Connecticut? Well, he's like Fairfield County, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like this. He's like the cousin of New York City.
New York Light.
I'm, by the way, for the anonymous poster that sent me a message, I'm not sick. I am tan from the beach. That's why my skin looks weird, because I had somebody say that my skin looked weird. Thanks a lot.
It's the
anonymous poster said my skin looks weird. Yes, the light's different. I'm in a condo. There's a beach. I can pull the camera out and show you the beach, but I don't want to. I might not be able to get it back on my computer, so I'm not going to pull it off. But no, I'm not sick.
Good.
Mike's sick. Look at him. He's sick.
I'm not sick.
I
have a healthy glow about me.
I was writing it off to the whiskey. Sorry.
It could be the whiskey too. That's why my nose is red because of sunburn, not because I've been drinking it up the whole time. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your digression there, but that was an anonymous. I think I know who it was. So.
Someone calling you out.
Yeah, thanks a lot for whoever said that.
Yeah.
So, Tom, you killed somebody 4 times in your BX game?
I know who that Facebook user is. That's Michael Gross. Yeah. We actually ran the Caves of Chaos. No, wait a minute. We ran the.
Oh, that's a meat grinder.
Yeah, we just ran through that, and I basically just I was merciless, and I was screaming and yelling at the players. We pulled like 4 tables together. It was like I think we had 18 people playing. And I was just murdering everybody.
There you go.
I was just murdering everybody. Like I was doing stuff like I'd roll a die, I'd roll bad. I'm like, no, it fell out of the tray. I'm rolling again. I was just murdering people.
Holy
crap! It was a blast.
Is there a code? There should be a code among DMs. Come on, man.
No, I told them in the beginning that my job was just going to be I wanted to go off the rails and just murder people, and they were like, "Bring it!" I'm like, "All right, here we go."
Jeez.
Yeah, I was just murdering everybody. It was fun. We had a really good time, and I wanted to end the con that night with like, here's just a BX, just meat grind. Let's have fun, and you guys can just
Well, whenever you get
Right on.
I'm committed to coming up to your con, but you got to be more than one day. If you're when you get to be a weekend, I will be on the way because I told we were going to go to AppleCon this year, my wife and I.
Mhm.
And that totally derailed with everything going on. But yeah, I would love to come to ShireCon. You're just going to have to
Yep.
run it more than one day. I can't travel up there just for a 1 day.
We
con.
definitely want to expand it, and I think we've been the first year we got about, I want to say 75 people. The next year we had closer to 100, and I said that if we get over 100, 125, we're going to definitely go into 2 days. We just haven't got the numbers there yet because of our area, so it's going to be really interesting to see if we can push in. I'm thinking we're going to do. Again, with the COVID situation, obviously that changes things, but we have 4 private schools right in the area, and I want to bring them all in, have a magic tournament,
Great.
play some D&D. So we could get more, we could tap into that, which we haven't done the first 2 years. I was kind of just trying to see what we could get from just the normal con circuit of people who want to go to cons. But I think we're going to be pushing into that demographic, hitting the private schools, bringing them in for a magic tournament, play more D&D, etc. I think we'll grow. And it definitely will be 2 days at some point, just not right away. We got to wait and see.
Yeah, and Mike, if you want to get come up for an extended period of time, hang out with the Tenkars, we'll pick you up at the airport and take you back and give you a tour of my old stomping grounds in the South Bronx. Come on, I could show you.
I want to see where. Well, you said you could take me to where Port Apache the Bronx was filmed. So that's.
Yeah. I could show you.
I want to see Fort Apache. I want to see.
Yeah, I could show you where the outdoor scenes were filmed, and I could show you where the indoor scenes of the precinct were filmed. Probably can't get into that building, but it's amazing the transformation of how the neighborhood was when the movie was filmed to even when I was working there in the late '90s. It was because it was those empty lots of buildings and just bricks and rubbish. We still had some of that, but not to the extent that it was when they filmed that movie. Oh my God!
Yeah, well, it was back in it was 81. I thought it was 78. It was 81. So 81. Yeah, we're talking late 70s, early 80s. That's been quite a while.
So I got there 15 years later. So go figure. So now, Thom, since we're talking about conventions, I want to ask you a question that I am damn well sure that our unofficial booker for Mike and I would want to hear you talk about.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask this question for Jeff. Zines. You have put out, or zines, how the fuck you pronounce it? Fuck you all. Zines. You've done zines now for a couple of years. What are the pitfalls and what have you learned to make the process easier?
I can't believe I forgot that. He does one of the best scenes ever, which I'm waiting for the compilation. Where's the compilation, Thom?
Because I just got the cover for the compilation hardcover. It's beautiful. Matt Ray did a great job again. So
Matt Ray's great.
So that now that he's got the cover done, I'm going to put it back on the list of stuff to get done soon. But so I did 10 issues of Back to Basics, and I've done 2 issues of Gamazine. I guess it depends on where you want your zine to be. If you want it to be polished, then you're going to go down a whole different path than if you just want to do it on your printer, fold them up, staple them, and send them out. Right. So I did the very first Back to Basics sort of as a giveaway. I think it was 8 pages. Did it as a giveaway in North Texas 2017. And I just gave it to people. And I got so many emails afterwards asking for copies, and I was like, listen, I can't give any more away. They're all gone. And if I'm going to do another print run, I'm not going to freaking hand staple these things again. Like that was just a chore, right? So I had my local printer who gives me great discounts. He had me do another run of it. I've done like 5 printings now of the first issue. Really? But if you want to go down that path, you just gotta build the project plan to figure out what do you want to spend. You can go real low budget, or you can go real polished. And I started it off as a kind of a goofy thing, And then it turned into a real serious thing that I was doing every 3 months. And believe it or not, the number one outcry I got was, we want this every month. And I was like, you have no idea what goes into making one of these things. And then they said the famous thing that I love to hear from people is, well, you could ask other people to help. I said, F no, because nobody ever does anything on time. Like, you can't expect people to submit their article, their art, or whatever in a timely fashion. Just life gets in the way. And when I'm doing it all, and I'm controlling the timeline, it gets done, because for me, it was like every 3 months is good enough, and I'm going to do this for a while. And then I got a whole bunch of shit for not doing the 11th issue, because they're like, you got to keep going. And the person who actually, the company that actually was doing some distribution for me, we're not going to name names, but the company that was doing that for me loved my work. And then when I told them I wasn't doing any more, they stopped talking to me altogether, which I thought was very funny. Because he was like, this guy was like, your zine, it does okay. It ended up being the number 2 seller overall in their whole company that year. Right. And I know they sold a bunch because I was constantly restocking them. And then when I said I was done for a while, they just didn't even respond to my emails anymore. So
I know what company we're talking about. I'm not going to name them either.
No, I don't like to name names.
No, I have heard, maybe not the exact, but I have heard from creators that have worked with that company. Some have great experiences, and others have had less than great experiences. So
I mean, the thing about zines is, it's like you do it because you love it, and you're usually building something that you truly want to do, right? So a zine isn't really like, I'm going to make an adventure and give it to people. It's I'm going to build something that's going to have different elements and different facets, and then I'm going to produce what I want, and that's what a zine really is. And if other people like it, then cool. Those people and I have the similar interests, and that's how zine should be built. But I kept taking mine another step further. One more comic, one more page of comic, another adventure, another article. And the last one was like, I don't know what, 20, 30 pages, 32 pages, 36 pages. It was really big. And I was like, okay, I got to slow this down. And I had other stuff to do. So I called it quits for it. Will Back to Basics be back as in a quarterly zine? Oh, yeah, it will. I just need to take a break and work on other stuff for people. But you do it because you love it. That's the number one thing. And, if it's 8 pages or it's 100 pages, if it's, off your home printer or it's polished, as long as you factor in what it's going to cost you, which is, on a good day, it's a break-even exercise, then do it. If you're thinking you're going to make money on it, no.
I mean, that's a good point you make about controlling all aspects of yourself is really the best way to go, because I know anybody that's ever done a quote unquote volunteer or let's do this to help out X, you always get 8 million people that say, oh man, yeah. I'll supply you with a monster or an adventure or this or that. And then there you are 3 months later and you've got, 4 people gave you stuff.
Well,
you got
two kind of people. You got the people that say, oh yeah, I'll help out, and they don't. And then you get the guy that emails you and says, hey, I got an idea. Let me send you a few things. And your email box is flooded with shit. And I'm talking like the worst stuff, right? Guys like, I wrote this adventure. It's amazing. Can you publish it? And it's like, there's not a single like punctuation in the entire document.
Boy,
like, no, I can't touch that.
I'm all over. Yeah. Well, Eric's going through, you have, you're going through that now. Can you attest to that? Is that pretty much what you're seeing?
Listen, on my end, my hiccups were all my health hiccups, which, you like, all right, I'm on track. Oh, we had to go for the fucking hat trick and get hospitalized for the 3rd time this year.
Well, that's one of the reasons I got in my contribution to you. I try to get in early because I know that feeling of, all these people tell you they're going to submit something and then you don't get anything from anybody. I just try to. So I tried to get in what I had early. So
the other key point is if you want to move it into, good art. We're not talking like Scrap Princess stuff. We're talking about real good art, right? So
nothing against the Scrap Princess.
Just my opinion.
Man.
If you want good art, which I try to work with really good artists.
These are not lukewarm opinions. These are hot opinions.
I can have my 3-year-old grandson draw me pictures. Then it'll be fine. But no, so if you want, like, you work with a stable of artists that are really, really good, you got to do them a favor and send them the request for what you want months and months in advance. And Matt Ray was literally working on the covers like an issue or two before the issue I needed, right? Like he was like 3, 4, 5 months in advance, so he had time to work it out. Plus, you get a good editor. I mean, for the Back to Basics series, it was all Michael Gross, and he was dependable and got the work done, and helped me get it on time. And so you build so I'm not going to edit my own stuff because I'm not that kind of guy. So you basically just got to depend on a couple people, give them enough time to do the work, and then you just crank out the rest.
I'm a horrific procrastinator, and I will say, Thom, you were extremely patient with me when I got my work in for both B2.5 and X1.1.
But what did I do, Mike? I asked you for it like 6 months in advance,
and that's exactly
right?
what I need. But I have to have that person just keep asking me, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind with me. So you were very patient, and of course, I think I got everything in probably the last weekend necessary possible.
Well, I almost had to book a second flight to Texas.
Just to kick my ass around. But I mean, but no, I like the. But that's a great way to do it. Is that you just got to keep on it. But the thing is that creates a lot of extra work for you because you're having to do that. You're having to say, okay, and that's why you say if you do everything with a zine, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about all these people and having to. I mean, imagine you were just breathing down my neck for, let's say, X 1.5. Imagine 5 other people, and you're having to breathe down all their necks. That's it's just too much work.
And I'm actually, and because I work on so much stuff at once, I'm usually tagging multiple people every week and reminding them about stuff. Like I was asking Matt about the cover. I'm asking an Italian artist for the first book in the Frog God series for the subscription that's coming up in the next month. I'm talking to this person about getting that work done and this person to get that work done. Like that's the only way to do it is just stay on top of it all. So you just gotta. So
see, my prior occupation as a police sergeant, for a while I was the admin sergeant, and I'm the last person you want to put in that position because I my way of organizing stuff was as it came in, put it into a pile, and then every day or two go through that pile, starting from the back, and see, what's coming up and is due and has to get done. Not probably the best. I've learned a bit since I left the job, but yeah. Mm-hmm. And dude, I can relate to the printing at home because when I did Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, before I did my own layout, we had an initial layout, and it was made pretty much for small print digest size, which I printed at home, had heavier paper for the covers, and I think I printed out, I want to say 20 copies. And stapled them all together because I got the long arm stapler. Holy shit. What it is. First off, no matter what you do, 1 out of 3 staples is never a line. Doesn't fucking matter what you do. No matter how well you lined it up, how many and then you still gotta crease it and fold it, and then you're like, oh, I really should get a paper trimmer because now those fucking middle pages need to be fucking trimmed. So, but those were copies that were being given away when I went. That came with me to the convention. Gave Bill his copy, and Matt and Zach and probably Mike. But those copies were given away. That was the whole thing. And I did the 2 Pocket Monsters. They were a single fucking sheet folded over because I was like, I don't want to staple. I don't want now. Torchlight doesn't have the premiere issue didn't have a print version. We are talking about maybe every 3 or 4 issues put together as a compilation and put out a print version for that. But I'm not printing that at home. I'm probably going to do it through drive-through, where the drive-through quality has gone up. I don't think it's awesome. I think it's enough for what I want to do. But I look at stuff from like Phil Reed and look at his zines and his stuff, and it's like, and I did talk to Phil at Gamehole last year, and he told me what printer he used. I totally forgot.
Probably mix them.
Okay, it does a great fucking job. Good. Yeah, and he's certainly learned how to price print and PDF to get the most out of people. It's just the science.
Tom, your
it's also
does a great job. I love the look of B2.5 and X.5. I feel like a really professional writer after I got those modules in, because they look like something that came out in 1981. I mean, they look great. They did just an absolutely great job.
So a couple of funny things that I'll share with you. One, the printer I was using had no idea how to do that kind of stuff, and I had to, like, some of the early work I did with him, he learned how to do some stuff. So he didn't know how to do some of those covers and whatever, because he was used to just doing like documents for businesses, right? So we went through those growing pains 4 or 5 years ago, and now he does good stuff. Two, I got that early TSR font that goes inside that book, so it looks like a BX book, and that's key, right? And we use stock art. Stock art lowers the price of a book, and it makes it cost affordable. I mean, that's what a lot of people do, and I like to do a lot of original art, but when I want to do a quick project, I'll try to find some really decent art that fits and just, makes it work. I also I'm like the only creative that probably uses MS Publisher. And I know Glazer jokes with me. He goes, "You've squeezed everything you could possibly get out of that tool." I'm like, "Yes, I have."
Really?
Because I'm a writer, right? I'm a writer, and I write stuff, and I'm trying to produce stuff quickly. I don't have time to learn InDesign. I just don't want to do it, right?
Yeah,
it's
I tried.
Personal choice. So I squeeze everything I can out of Publisher, and it works for what I want it to do, the way I lay out stuff, and it's great. And that's one of the reasons why I said for this project, the Lost Triptych, I said, Ben Barsh wants to run with, all that layout and all that color and all those maps and all that stuff. You can do that part. I'll just write the thing for you, and that's what we did. Yeah.
Well, the look. I mean, I don't mind MS Publisher, because the look we're going for anyway, which is the old school look, is perfect for that. I mean, what were they using back in 1980? They weren't using, and I like. I understand InDesign is easier, but I'm with you. I will never even approach trying to figure out InDesign. It's look, I don't learn how to speak Spanish. I think I'm too old. I'm not going to learn how to do InDesign. For me, it's the same skill set. I can't figure it out.
I try to figure out, with all the time I have available, which is not a lot, believe it or not. I get a lot done in a short period of time. I don't want to waste that time learning another tool when I have a tool that works for what I needed to do.
Sure.
So
right. No,
about the artwork. Matt Ray did Matt Ray's artwork is just great.
He's awesome.
And so he's worth it. So for the I know the adventures we did, we used the two North Texas adventures. We did stock art, except for the front cover, which is Matt Ray, which I happily foot the bill for that. And we also had somebody do the back cover for
Matt Ray as well.
Oh, that was Matt Ray too.
Yep.
Damn, that guy's good.
He's awesome.
He's an overlook. If you're looking for OSR style artwork, man, throw this guy some business, because his stuff is just excellent.
He's fantastic.
It looks like it stepped right out of 1981. It's really good stuff.
So is this guy right here, Travis Hansen.
Oh, hey, that's nice too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Travis did the. Oh God, he did a lot of
he does a lot of stuff. Yeah, he has the ShatterCon logo as well. So.
Travis is
he's doing everything. He's doing everything for my box set next year. So this is a prototype.
So Dead Salantia, what exactly is Dead Salantia? I mean, I hate to get. We're not doing a review, folks. I'm asking because
we're doing a preview. We had no idea.
Tell us about Dead Salantia. Yes.
It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy role-playing game. So it's not like science fiction-y where it's like the Earth has gone back to been laid waste to. It's basically a fantasy world that was very rich in magic and power, and then something catastrophic happened and knocked it back down into basically the sword and sorcery kind of feel. It is a skill-based system, and what makes it unique is that it uses a different die, which is. I don't know if you can catch this. It's a binary die. Let me pull it out. It's zeros and ones. So 50% chance you're going to roll a 0. Let me get here. 0 or 1.
Interesting.
All right. So you basically, based on the number of ranks you have in a skill, you roll that many of these, and the total is what you get, and it goes against, a check.
You want to roll more dice because you want more ones of it. Okay, I got you.
Right. And like skills that don't use magic, you use 1 per rank. Skills with magic, you use 2 per rank. So it sort of offsets the power thing. It's anybody who creates a role-playing game system wants to say that it's so much better than everything else. Is it? Probably not. It's a fun game. And the thing that makes this interesting is that we've been playtesting it now for almost 6 years. So we've got a lot of time in it.
All right, that's a lot of time in it.
Everything's written for it. and Travis is now doing the art. He's got all the monster. He's penciled and inked all the monster guide art, and he's now doing all the color for it. And then he's got to do the player's guide, and then the GM's guide, and then he's got to do the GM screen, and then he's already done the character sheets. They're beautiful. So it really is probably a first quarter to 2021, unless the world is still shit, and then maybe it's a little later.
Well, you know the pitfalls of box sets. So
Yep.
why on earth did you decide to do a box set? Because that's a landmine, man.
Bucket list. I always want to do one.
You and Zach Glazer, you're both weirdos. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm well, yes, I am. But secondly, it's if you plan and you understand that it's going to be, where your break even is. I'm an IT guy, but I also did a lot of finance back in corporate, and I'm pretty good about figuring out costs. So, I've laid out the costs. I know I've had multiple vendors for different things, for printing and the boxes and the dice. Those dice, by the way, are Kaplow. And, I basically, have planned it out, and I know what my break even is. I know what my project's got to make. And, I'm not going to do, obviously I'm not going to do like minis, although we might do paper minis with a company. There's a new company. I think they're called, I hope I don't break this, Think Tank Geek Think Tank. I forget what it is, but they're doing these really cool color flat minis. Because if I'm going to put something in the box, I want it to be not metal and heavy, right? I want it to be paper. So I figured I'll do a couple of those. Your books.
I'm always surprised.
Right. So anyway, we'll do a couple things like that, but
they're very popular.
Yeah, I mean, I ordered a batch from him so I could see what his quality's like, and then Travis will do the art for the minis too, so they'll fit the game. It'll be really cool. So we got some great ideas, and like I said, I know what my break even is. I know how many I have to sell to break even. It's not that high a number, honestly, which is great. I just got to do it, but I want to make sure. I'm the kind of guy, and Eric knows this. My Kickstarters don't launch unless I'm done with it.
Right.
So,
you're not getting a Ken Whitman out of this deal.
No, I mean when the Destination Kickstarter goes live, everything in it will be done, 100% written, illustrated, edited, ready to go. And then when you back the project, it'll be within just the production time to get everything, ordered and printed.
You're basically making a pre-order, which is great. That's the way
Yeah.
Kickstarter should be done.
And I do all my work that way because I can't stand, saying, yeah, hey, back this cool book I just wrote. You'll get it in 2025. No, that's not how I work. So.
Oh, you by the way, you said the name of the devil. Don't you have some Kim Whitman news just for laughs? I mean, I don't want to spend.
All right, you really want the laugh. All right, so apparently,
I just like to get you wound up. It's fun.
Ken, his mouth is moving and his hand is writing. Therefore, he must be lying. Whitman, allegedly. I mean, allegedly being Ken Whitman. I know he's a liar. That's not alleged. Ken apparently, not sure, was it Sunday or Monday? I get a notification as I'm sleeping from somebody, one of the taverners. I'm like, huh? And it's like, oh, Ken Whitman updated on Knights at the Dinner Table live action series. I'm like,
oh boy,
he's been silent for years, pretty much since he didn't do the Gary Con. The Gen Con release party for the project that he was taken to court over by a person named Louis Desi. And Ken, if you are listening, just so you know, Louis and I keep in contact. We email each other back and forth. So if Louis is talking about stuff, we probably talked about it already. So Ken updated his Kickstarter and said, holy Christmas, look what I found. Those files that I said were destroyed in a barn fire at my friend's house when I put my stuff in storage in his barn, and the barn burned down, and all the files for Knights at the Dinner Table. Oh, and the Traveler pilot got destroyed. I found the files. Where he found the files, I don't know. He doesn't say. But he claims he found the files. Now he's saying he found the files, went to Walmart. Now, apparently Walmart is the place where everybody goes when they have a story to tell you.
Sure.
It couldn't have been me making that list because I was at Walmart with my wife buying Diet Pepsi. I could show you the receipt. It wasn't me at that time. It's a whole other story, but in any case. So apparently he went to Walmart to buy a 2 terabyte hard drive so he could send this to Jolly. Okay.
Hey, what's the end game here? What's going on?
Here's the end game. What Ken owes the for the most part, they did have lower quality footage of what Ken is mailing to Jolly, and that was completed by the guys who do I think the gamers.
They did a good job too with what they had. They did a very good job, yeah.
So basically, what Ken has to do is, I think, what Ken has left to fulfill is physical product for people. But here's the issue. His license is expired because just like Ken, it has rotted. Now, the issue beyond that is Ken doesn't have any money. He's attached to another Kickstarter that's out there right now. It's some movie video Kickstarter. He's attached to it, but you're not going to find his name attached to it because he is still like a rotten egg. He's going to make it all bad, but he can't help but talk about it, so you know it's attached to it. But Ken wants the rights back to distribute, from what I'm gathering, Nights at the Dinner Table live action series because he wants to make money. Ken doesn't have those rights. And what Jolly said on the Kickstarter as a comment was, we would consider giving you a license to fulfill your outstanding obligations, such as they are, so long as it is not a for-profit position. In other words, you can cover your costs, and you can fulfill your obligations.
We're not handing you a check ever again. There's no money.
No. And they shouldn't be giving him a license because what he wants to do is he wants to be able to say, I put it together and now I can be the distributor, whatever the Ken Whitman latest venture is. I'm sure most of them have gone bankrupt and such to release him from his obligations. The great thing about incorporating in this wonderful country. But he wants to get a license so he can monetize it. Ken doesn't do anything. My opinion, Ken, so I can say it, fuck you, is that Ken doesn't do anything unless there's a profit involved for Ken. He does not do anything out of the goodness of his heart. He does it because there's money for his pocket. So when he was selling the boots from The Walking Dead,
oh God,
with the certificate of authenticity that the company that's named on it said, we don't make certificates like that, and we don't make certificates of authenticity for movie props. We do coins. Yeah. No, I mean...
Well, why don't you just make another movie about... Do you remember when he made the standalone movie about his Walking Dead character?
Yes.
The Walking Dead show for like 5 seconds?
An extra in one scene.
But he made
extra... What did he call
a
himself? The Axeman or some shit like that?
It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
But, he didn't even have
he didn't have the rights to do it. He never said it was actually The Walking Dead, but this is supposedly the backstory of his 5-second on-screen character.
Yes.
It's just, dude.
Did you see the scene on MacGyver? When MacGyver came back as a new series?
Why does he make it? Yeah, that character had more screen time than the Walking Dead guy. I mean,
right, and when Ken was on MacGyver, he actually said something. Ugh, as he got
he had a grunt, which I don't think the Screen Actors Guild. I don't think you get paid for because you have to sign it. If you don't know, you have to sign a contract for speaking parts. That's why when you see these grunts in the background, they never say anything. They just sit there and they'll just grunt. They won't say anything because they don't want to pay him extra. You get an extra pay grade. So I don't think he got paid for the grunt. I think that was just a non-speaking role. But he could make a sequel about that character. He could make a whole movie series about got backup bodyguard guy in MacGyver show and anyway. I just thought that was hilarious. Because
I want to see a scene of him running into a burning barn.
Actually, you know what? I'm not saying I'd pay for it, but I'd actually watch it to see Ken reenact how he saved the video for Nights in the Dinner Table, holding up the burning hot disk drive in the Walmart box that he just,
Of course.
yeah, and so he can return it.
I even regret spending this much time on him. So but you just mentioned his name. And I thought that was the topic of conversation. And plus, it's always good to let everybody know we never want his name to die because we never want him to ever have anything where he can once again just pop up in the Kickstarter world and say, "Hey, here I am." Like, wait a second, we know who you are.
Well, guys like him have kind of screwed. A lot of guys like me that we try to do good work, and then everyone's like, "Well, I'm not doing Kickstarters because I did this pencil thing and I got screwed." It's like, well, I'm not making pencils, and my name's not Henry. So,
yeah. I like the Pop-O-Matic Kickstarter that he tried running after the pencil dice, and that one Kickstarter pulled because
I say Kickstarter pulled that one. I remember
because
that.
Apparently, he
was so funny.
Pop-O-Matics at and I don't know, on eBay or whatever, like pennies on the piece. So he was gonna for your D6 RPG, never lose a dice again.
Yeah, throw pencils all around the table. Yeah,
pencil dice.
The Pop-O-Matic was great. Yeah,
we have.
I don't think
card dice. Remember the card dice that he also did card dice. So yeah, here's my thing. And Ken is like Candyman. You say his name 3 times and he appears. Have I backed any of Ken's Kickstarters? No. But I'm a huge advocate for Kickstarters because Kickstarters, done properly, allow people like Thom to produce a box set and know he's not going to take a wash on it. Know that he can produce the best that he can put out and still hopefully make a little profit, at least get back his time, not sit with a storage room full of, I don't know, myth and magic, players guides.
You're up there, that part of the country, you two. You need to go on a hunt for myth and magic. You could make a documentary about it because unless that dude has dumped them all in the ocean or something, they've got to be in a warehouse somewhere.
No, right? They were in his living room. His wife was getting upset. That's the last I heard. And
lost Kickstarters.
Yes, and what's great about the myth and magic one, besides the fact that my again another friend of the tavern, somebody who was nice enough to share my personal information as a Kickstarter comment when I was like, dude, where is this shit that you've given us pictures of but haven't shipped? He's a lawyer.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I mean, the first thing I learned as a law enforcement officer was, if in doubt when dealing with the public, keep your mouth shut. Okay? If in doubt when dealing with something that resembles news media, and I'm not saying that I am news media, although I do some functions that overlap and such, if you can't say the right thing, don't say anything. Ken, I'm going to grant Ken, I'm going to tip my imaginary hat and give him a salute. He's avoided responding to me, so he's got a few working brain cells. Although he's been responding to Louis Desi over on the Kickstarter, which just shows me that he can't control himself. He should be. If Ken had half a mind, or he had anybody that had a legal background that cared about him, they would tell him, "Shut your mouth." Also, you got me started. Why even announce that you're mailing this to Jolly? By the way, saying it'll arrive on Wednesday. What's closed today?
Yeah,
the post office.
Oh, he's probably got a horse and buggy or something.
Yeah, I'm going to deliver it myself in the car I'm borrowing from my next door neighbor to get some cigarettes and coffee. It's like, oh, yeah. So you want to get me worked up?
Well, I like, in case, just like to kill 10 minutes in the show, I just speak the devil's name, and then Eric goes off for 10 minutes. So I just wanted Thom to see that. That's kind of how I control.
It's a trigger. It's a triggering. There is no safe space.
He knows. I have a few things he could hit too. So
but I wouldn't do that to you.
No, he did that for me because he didn't want me to go off for 10 minutes like that.
No, it's just listen, people expect me to do embarrassing shit like that. They like Mike's the nice one.
That's true. I'm the straight guy, aren't I? Am I Abbott or Costello here? I don't know. I really don't know.
You don't know. Hey, Abbott.
Hey, one thing I want to bring up real quick too. You made a post on this week, and so I had to go and reactivate my old. Well, I tried to reactivate my old MeWe account because you had a post on the. There was another huge. So for those who don't know, a few years ago, Google shut down their blogs, and there was a huge exodus to MeWe.
Right when Google Plus when tits up, everybody went to everybody. A lot of people went to MeWe because. That's why Eric calls me Godfather Mike in chat.
Good Mike in chat.
Good Mike. All right.
That's
right. Godfather of the OSR is Vince Florio.
Yeah.
The Podfather. But there was and when that happened, they actually reached out to Matt Finch. I think their vice president of technology reached out to Matt and was like, "Hey, we've noticed that a lot of people are coming from the gaming community. Matt had him on his YouTube interview. What is it that we can offer that will make this transition easier for you? Because there's a lot of stuff you could do with Google Plus. At the time, you can integrate Hangouts into it, and that was people felt good. And then maybe kind of stagnated. And then this weekend, Joe the lawyer is the owner of the largest Dungeons and Dragons MeWe group. It had about 3,500 people. It's largest, so there are other Dungeons and Dragons group, but this one is the largest. And myself and Tim Shorts, we are admins. And Joe sends me a text on my phone. He's like, "Dude, I just added like 100 people." I go, "What?" I just added 100 people to the group. I had all these, because I would check it every couple of days, and look, we got 3 or 4 more people looking to be added. I was like, that was like on Sunday. I'm like, really? And then Monday morning I wake up and there's like 50 people and waiting to get added. And by the way, there is only one question that you have to answer to get added to the group to screen out bots. What is the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons that you played? And some of the answers we've gotten included things like, I've never played, but my spouse does, and I want to, that's fine. Do you know how many people answered nothing? Probably about 1 out of 5. So that means about 1 out of 5 are bots.
20%, yeah.
They're just going to go on there to say, if you want sex, look at touchmenow.com. So I was like, shit. So now it's over 4,300. We picked up probably 500 over the time of the weekend through now.
For those of you that live on the moon and have just came out of your crater, we did have an election last week. Was it last week? Week ago?
A week and a half ago. Yeah.
So Facebook is. I'm not going to get political here. I'm just going to say Facebook is. There's a lot of ads on Facebook now. If you haven't noticed, there is a lot of ads on Facebook, and there's a lot of censoring on Facebook, which is their right. They
right.
Run, this is a private company. They can do whatever they want. They could censor every mention of the word D&D, and it would be perfectly within their rights. But a lot of people are fed up with it. They're fed up with censoring, and they're fed up with the ads. And MeWe has no ads, and they don't censor. So people are giving it a second. Like you said, it got that big influx a few years ago. Well, now it's getting another influx of people saying, I'm tired of. And, Facebook. What it does good, but it gets annoying after a while. I get tired of the ads. I get tired of the, this. We had to remove this post. I post. On a place called RPG Auction Site where you sell D&D stuff. And every once in a while, one of my posts gets pulled because it is an inappropriate post because the title mentions like guns or kids or animals because these are bots. These are bots that do these algorithms. There's not an actual human looking at my posts. They just see that, I've got something for sale like Slumbering Czar. And then they go, we're going to pull that because you can't sell a czar. Well, it's a book called The Slumbering Czar. I sold a book called, The Black Stallion. They pull that and say, you can't sell horses on Facebook. So anyway, it's just part of this whole thing. What they do, they do okay, but then when they try to branch out and do algorithm stuff, it's a big giant machine and it doesn't do well. MeWe is more like the old Google Hangouts were, or the old Google. The Google the blogs. Remember when Google was all blogs
Google Plus. Google
Plus. It's basically Google Plus because there's all these blogs, there's links to all kinds of stuff, and you can choose what pops into your feed, which is I think is the best part of it. You get on there and like I'm looking at my feed now. So my story is I had an old MeWe account. I tried to reactivate it, and I am a little ticked because instead of reactivating my account, it deleted my old account and put my new account over that account. I don't know why, because I was using the same email. Maybe it's because I didn't use the account for a long time. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I no longer have my old account, but I have a new account. So I was a little ticked. So I went in there, I'm trying to make friends again, do all this stuff. And I really enjoy the look of it because it's so clean. I don't have all this stuff that I don't want on.
I don't like the new Facebook format, the default. I find it to be cluttered.
It's very cluttered now.
Here's the other thing though with Facebook, and maybe this will change on MeWe as MeWe gets more used. Maybe it'll fall down this rabbit hole. And especially in the last 6 months and still going on now, I would say and I'm probably lowballing when I say this, but in my main Facebook feed now, I've got over 3,000 people that I have on my friends list on Facebook, and thank you all. But probably one of the 3 posts or shares is political in nature in my main feed. Now I find on MeWe, virtually none of it is. Now, admittedly, on Facebook, if you go into most communities, including like the Tenkar's Tavern community here on Facebook, has a no politics policy, and it kind of keeps that stuff, for the most part, out of the communities. But my main Facebook feed is full of it, and it's not like talking politics like your neighborhood pub, where you have a back and forth and you have a few beers, and at the end you slap each other on the back and leave. Social media political talk is always fuck you, well, fuck you, fuck your mother, fuck your mother, fuck your whole dead family and the ground they're riding on. Because
there's not a lot of nuance.
There isn't.
I've had to block. Whatever the functions where you put people to sleep. I've been hitting that button, and so I going to MeWe this weekend. I was like, man, I'm just seeing gaming posts. And that's all, I get on social media. That's all I want. I want to see what friends are up to. I want to see what Zach Glazer had for lunch yesterday. I want to see what Tom Wilson has coming out, on Digest. And I want to see what Eric, what Ken Whitman's been up to. I don't want to see people that I don't know that very well talking politics. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm burned out.
I don't care. And so I'm going to have to give a thumbs up here if you think about going to MeWe, because I was very, like I said, I hadn't been there in about a couple of years, and I was actually administrator for a couple of MeWe pages. I have no clue what's going to happen to them now.
North Texas is one of them, and you're the only one.
I can't get into North Texas pages.
You are the only one, Mike.
I think I'm going to have to start the whole page over again, I guess. But yeah, I was very pleased by that. So your little heads up, like, hey, you might want to check out MeWe again. I was very, very happy with that. I'm not happy I got locked out of my old account, but I was very happy to start a MeWe up again, because I've been going there several times a day now and just looking at the articles and just checking out stuff like, hey, it's all gaming. And I keep waiting for a stupid ad to pop up. There's no stupid ads popping up.
Here, when you log in using a browser, every 3 or 4 times you log in, there will be a pop-up initially where, do you want to join for pro MeWe use? I have no idea what it gives you. But that's how, people that join support the system. There's another social media alternative out there right now, Parler, which builds itself as the Twitter alternative. Parler, from what I can gather, has no gamers on it. It's all fucking politics all the fucking time.
Yeah, so
I'm not advising. Twitter's a cesspool.
Yeah, but now you got. Yeah, no. Anything when you say like Twitter, you're just saying like poo poo. I don't like poo poo. I don't want like poo poo because I think I was telling you that stat that came out a while back, Eric, where 90% of Twitter 90% of Twitter is controlled by 10% of the users. It's basically listening to the Kardashians every time you go there. Twitter has I have no no use being on Twitter. So yeah,
do you have a blue check mark? Do you have a blue check mark? No.
I don't want any check marks. No. I don't need Twitter, so I don't need Parler. But yes, MeWe is very interesting alternative. If you're tired of all the garbage on Facebook, I mean, it's not like I'm getting rid of my Facebook page. I'm not. I mean, I just pruned it judiciously. I've been just pruning. But it was very it's very nice to go to MeWe and actually see conversations that I was very interested in seeing and not have to worry about ads and all that stuff. So, give it a shot. I mean, it's very easy to start an account there. You look for some names of people, look for, just put in Dungeons and Dragons, put in Tenkar's Tavern, put in Swords and Wizardry, and then just go from there and you'll find something that interests you. And so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing too.
Yeah, I use MeWe still to communicate with a few people and check up on some stuff, but unfortunately, I still use Facebook for, talking with other creative types, trying to figure out what we're working on or whatever. I would prefer like a purely gaming, platform. That would be fantastic. But
that would be great.
Oh, yeah. MeWe's not bad. I like MeWe, but I think MeWe's got some interesting issues with it. But
yeah, well, one of the issues with MeWe that I realize now, listen, I've always I check MeWe on a daily basis, but it's more to check what's going on in my own group, Tenkar's Tavern, and share something. So I apparently have been missing private messages in MeWe because they don't really notify you very well that you have a private message because it gets grouped with the group messages. And I'm like, oh my God, there were people sending me stuff back in like May and earlier and or like this past September. And I'm like, fuck, I'm sorry, I'm a dick because I didn't know this came through.
Well, there's somebody out there that hasn't got a reply. I mean, I haven't been letting people in the North Texas page for 2 years, so somebody out there going, fuck that Bad Mike. Man, I had my application for 2 years, but I guess I'm going to have to start the page overnight. It was the weirdest thing. I tried to get my password. It said, okay, you just go up and set up a new password. I'm like, cool. So I set up my password, and then I click into MeWe, and it's like, okay, it's been cleared out. I'm like, wait a second. I was just trying to get a new password here.
By the way, Chris, it might be 4 on
MeWe shuts it down. So I
think that's what happened. Yeah.
It might be 4 on YouTube, but it's 10 overall.
So I had a great idea. I just saw Chris posting. I wanted to say something real quick. I had a great idea, Chris, because we didn't get to do the very popular that we still get talked about show where we drank those little bottles of booze.
Oh, the Fruit Loops. So
I'm going to say we need to have Chris mail us some. That's going to be our Christmas show, Eric. We're gonna pull out like 5 bottles of something Chris mails us and try it on air. So Chris,
I hope it's all Malort.
Oh,
I hope it's all Malort.
The stuff we pulled.
There was some decent stuff that you're like, oh, I'm surprised. But the 5 olives, 4 loops or some shit like that, it was Fruit Loop hard liquor.
I said it tasted like Fruit Loops with drain cleaner or something. I mean, that was awful. But that I think that would be a fun. I was just thinking about that today, and Chris just reminded me when he popped in. So yeah, so get on that, Chris. Find us some interesting little bottles of booze to send Eric and I, and don't poison us or anything. But
probably don't poison us. We don't want to get poisoned.
No, we don't want to poison.
Oh, and since
here's what you guys should do.
What?
Here's what you guys should do. You know that show that's on TV where they have an interviewer, an interviewee, and the interviewee is eating progressively hotter food.
Oh God, yes, I've seen that.
Just do it with alcohol instead. Just get harder liquor until they just can't answer questions anymore. That'd be a great show.
I think that's just every week practically, but yeah, some of that bad stuff was so bad. But I still get people commenting on that, Eric. They'll go, "Oh man, I love the show you guys did that time where you're drinking really bad booze." Well, it wasn't all bad booze, but our reaction to the bad stuff was. But that was a fun show because that was at the con. We had people walking by, we were grabbing Ben Marsh and grabbing people.
Now, Mike, we were talking about what we could do for around like the conventions that aren't going to be happening.
Yeah,
it's like Total Con, or I'm saying they're not going to happen. They're probably happening virtually, or GaryCon. If we can reenact that, as like a talk. Well, because we were also talking about maybe doing talk crit episodes for the course of 4 days, bringing in a special guest or two for each one. So the people that aren't getting to go to conventions can still get a little bit of that feel of meeting people at conventions. The writers, the artists, the publishers, the personalities.
Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. I still think I would love to have Luke on the show at some point, and I think we could probably get him on there one of these days to talk with us because he's had a rough year. I'd like to pick his brain a little bit, but he's done a good job with he was dealt a pretty tough hand. They've been able to kind of pull it out, so that's the good. All kudos to Gary or to Luke and the whole Gygax clan for putting up with that. I mean, it could have been a tough decision to cancel 2021, but I think doing it this early is probably the best idea or the best thing they could have done. But yeah, I'd love to have him on there because I don't know how much he would actually share with us, but I'd love to hear some of the thinking behind why they decided to do what they do, or and from what I understand, their virtual did really well last year with only 2 weeks preparation. Now that they have like 3 months preparation,
right,
they're going to just knock it out of the park. It's going to be great.
I mean, I do think that's going to be one of the benefits that's going to come out of this whole COVID thing, and I'm not. Am I looking for the silver lining? Perhaps. But I do think that the ability for virtual conventions to recreate a more authentic feel, and it's never going to be authentic. I don't care. Listen, if you're like me and you can't have your straight up, regular Coke, you have to have Diet Coke. Is Diet Coke is regular as good as like Mexican Coke with pure cane sugar? No, it's not.
No.
But pure cane sugar is going to spike my blood glucose, and the Diet Coke won't. We're going to have solutions for these conventions that are going to come closer to emulating, but they're never going to replace. And I think that's something we have to remember too. And I think also going forward, the integration of a face-to-face and a virtual convention happening at the same time for the same convention should be something that would be interesting. And yes, that's what I miss too, Mike. I miss talking to the fans at the table. I go to conventions to work the table and hang at the bar. Running games to me is also fun, but I don't play. I don't play in people's games. Not that I don't want to, but I mean, if I'm playing a game, I'm not there to shake hands and socialize with people.
I'm just there for the groupies mostly. There's some the OSR groupies are the best. Thom knows. Tell me that look at his face. He knows how to work that person.
Yeah, Tenkar, can you sign my belly? No.
Yeah, you go to the bar.
What happens in Texas stays in Texas, man.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, sometimes even the games stay in Texas. So when Bad Mike
end up running a lot of games.
North Texas is a couple flight attendants there, and they're like, "What do you do for a living?" "Oh, I do this game stuff," and they get all giggly, and they're buying you booze after that, and then.
Yeah, you're not staying at the same hotel I am, apparently.
Then I wake up and
Then you wake up, you see.
Exactly.
Well, then you wake up with Skeeter on. Oh, no, that was. That was Gary Con.
That's painful.
Maybe for this Gary Con, we can reenact that virtually with Skeeter.
No, we're not going to do that.
No.
I'd rather reenact drinking bad booze, Chris's bad booze, than that. No. I'll drink the disinfectant. So, well, did we miss anything? Did we cover everything this week? Did you get to pimp your stuff enough, Thom? Come on, Thom. You got anything else? So, Triptych.
Yeah, I mean, I just
another not Facebook. Kickstarter, another week.
Yeah,
another week. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I'm working on today. But there's like 3 or 4 other things that are in the hopper that I'm working on, and they'll I share that with the people that want to see it. And
once
you'll hear about more stuff as it comes. I'm also building a collector website, which I'm very excited about. That hopefully will come out early next year. So
let's keep that a secret right now. But no,
we just spoke about it. So
Desolanti comes out.
It's not a secret.
You could tell us about Desolanti. I thought that was a secret. I didn't know. I guess now you mentioned it, so it can't be that secret.
I mean, there's very few secrets. I like to just talk about whatever I'm working on. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah. You're making Chris sound bad, Mike.
No. And Chris is in my D&D game, and in North Texas this year, and he hooked us all up. So I just it's more fun when you give us the crappy liquor because we get to hear me try to figure out what it tastes like, and then I have to figure out what Fruit Loops mixed with battery acid tastes like, and I think that's what it would taste like. Whatever.
Yes, last year. And I think that would be really. Cause we were doing that without any kind of video. Just imagine taking that, pouring it into a little shot glass. You have to have a little
face.
I mean, this is gonna, or drink it without looking at the name on it. That'd be good. Then we have to look up.
Oh God, yes. So Chris would have to wrap them.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, and then like put numbers on them, and only he would know what they are. All right, Chris, we're gonna drink number 2 now. And then Chris is on with us. He goes, all right, it's gonna be a good one. It's like, why do I feel like I'm tasting cat piss and peppermint?
Oh yeah, this it's gonna be Boffo ratings on this one definitely.
See what the amazing stuff we're willing to do for you, our listeners.
Yes. Anything else? Anybody else?
Anybody
Anything? I think that was it for this week. Hopefully I'll be back next week and I won't burn up to a crisp. I'm going to try to watch the sun the next 3 weeks.
You're gonna come back looking like Mr. Krabs.
I'm gonna be bronze. I'm gonna be a bronze Adonis when I get back. You wait. The light's just bad here. You can't see how bronze I am, but it's pretty hot.
Oh, I can see that you're hot.
My wife's giving me the thumbs up over there. No, actually, she's bursting out into laughter over here.
Yeah, I hear her. Nice. God bless her.
She says I look well. I don't know what she said. She says I look like a. What do you think I look like? A tomato or something? A scorched apple.
When I see a scorched apple, will then start wrinkling and stuff.
Got enough wrinkles.
Put on some aloe, Mike. Put on some aloe.
I know. I got to put some cream on or something. I don't know.
Gee, not fun. Well, folks, we're about to hit the witching hour, which usually for us is about 90 minutes on these things. And we could go on forever because, as you can tell with Thom, we only bring on the fun guests.
Right.
We could bring on the big names where you're going to do. We heard us all before. Yeah, you get to hear from hopefully, I know we got Bill Barsh lined up. Pex messaged me right before the show. He wants to get Ben Barsh on. I'm not sure it's going to be just me and Ben or.
Oh, Ben will be fun. Yeah, we need to have Ben on the show. Ben's fun.
Ben, the best hair in the OSR.
Yeah, he does.
So there you go. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. We're in the world of COVID. So as always, use your common sense. None of us are medical professionals. When we have Laramie on, I won't be able to say that. I go, one of us is a medical professional, but none of us are. We're not going to give you advice besides use your common sense. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice.
Mask up.
Mask up. Mask up! And God willing, I'll talk with you all manana. And Mike and I will be back with another special guest next week. Bye now. Wave to the audience.
Bye, Craigbot. Oh, there's no Craig. Wait, we have to Eric. Eric? We're still alive.
He's trying to hit the button.
I think he hit the wrong button. Is this extra?
He just bailed, left it running.
Is this extra Patreon only?
Yeah, I removed myself. I removed myself from the feed, and I didn't end the broadcast. So there, bonus content for those watching at home.
It's behind the scenes footage.
Yes, I fucked up.
Extra scenes.
But hey, we wouldn't have gotten to see the Bob Goodenow ShireCon masks.
Ah, interesting. Could happen.
Hey, if you can get them print on demand, you might be able to sell some beforehand. I could wear one to North Texas and advertise it. There you go. All right. Well, now we're really going to sign off and sign out. Not that we don't like you guys, but all right. Later.
All right. Thanks, guys.